Hi, Neeruja. How are you?
Hi, hello. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. Thank you. Thank you for joining this session. Just quickly start off with a little bit of an introduction about ourselves and Safetipin as well, and then would love to deep dive into a few questions that we had around that Safetipin has been doing. So we at Parati try to cover stories of impact startups and impact organizations and uh, try to put them across from an impact analysis perspective, which is why we are doing this session with Safety Pin. And we're excited to have Safety Pin with us. It's a social impact organization dedicated to making our cities safer and more inclusive for women. I think Safety Pin leverages big data and technology to collaborate with governments, NGOs, and communities to improve open infrastructure and overall safety in those areas. So, with that background, Neeruja would like to jump into a few questions
Sure.
and things that you would like to learn about Safety Pin. So, just to start off with, can you tell us a little bit about Safety Pin and the mission that drives the organization's work?
Absolutely. I think you did a fantastic job talking about safety pin. So I'll jump into talking about what do we vision towards. We aim to see a world where women, every woman coming from all sorts of backgrounds, has a voice and has a power and a choice in moving around their city without any fear. Safety pin
Okay.
utilizes, yeah, safety pin utilizes, as you correctly said, data that is we primarily collect across cities using some of the in-house applications that we have built. Some of the applications are open source, available for people. Some of the applications we use internally to collect large-scale data and trying to analyze them. Yeah.
Right. So I think you have a couple of applications in terms of My Safety Pin Night, and Safety Pin Site. So how do these applications gather data, and what are the safety parameters that the applications focus on?
Yeah, so to answer that question, basically we have, as I said, three apps. One is My Safetipin app. My Safetipin is an open source app available for everybody. You can just go on Apple Store, Google Play Store, and download it. It's a free app used for crowdsourced data. The other two apps, which are Safetipin Night and Safetipin Site. Safetipin Night is a large-scale image collection tool. What we do is simply mount a mobile phone on the windscreen of a car, and the car moves around in the city, covering all the major connectivity roads. And it simply does one thing. It clicks pictures after every 10 meters. This large bank of images goes into the backend, and we sort of analyze and process it on based on different parameters to assess the level of safety in different parts of the city. And the third application, Safetipin Site. Safetipin Site helps us collect more qualitative and more specific data. Let's say if you want to talk about what is the condition of a metro station, what is the condition of a bus stop, what is the condition of some of the very specific public spaces to assess, have a more detailed understanding of Safetipin.
Okay.
Here, the application My Safetipin has many features which are useful for people in general. Like you can assess public spaces, like I'm on the road and I feel that this particular area is unsafe and is I'm not finding it very comfortable. You can quickly pull out your phone, do a quick audit or a safety audit. It takes less than 1 minute. Apart from that, there are features like find support. Let's say I'm a person in distress, domestic violence, I'm looking for a police station, but I don't know where to start from, where to go. So I can just go on this application, find the find support feature and get a directory of all the important resources and numbers. Similarly, you can explore other features like tracking features, nearby features. I'm a single woman roaming around in the city and I need to know where the closest bus stop is, public toilet is, and that app can help me find it.
Great. So it's is it mostly crowdsourced data, like whoever is using the application, they keep adding or tagging things as well, and that's how I think the applications become more exhaustive and comprehensive.
Yes. So it's very important to collect the voice of people. I mean, we can easily do without, creating a crowdsourced app. We can just go and, do large scale image collection. But it's extremely important how personal experience and experiences of people who are moving about in the city, doing their everyday life and, living in the cities, what do they feel, what do they think is important, and where do they find it to be most critical where action can be taken. Therefore, that particular perspective of crowdsourcing and making an app that is useful for people comes into place.
Right. No, it definitely makes sense. I think, like, especially with the around a topic like safety, it's really important to have community participation to facilitate these things as well, and it automatically, I think, improves the um, overall intelligence of the system that you're building. It improves the accuracy of it, and ultimately becomes more usable as well. There was one thing that I came across, which is something called a safety score. Is it an outcome of all these applications and the data that you're gathering on multiple urban infrastructure, and you come up with the safety score? How does that work, and how does it help cities in prioritizing areas of improvement?
Absolutely. I told you about the application that it collects data. Now the question is, what is this data and what are we collecting?
Right.
So what we go around doing is sort of getting a sense of what is the social and physical infrastructure in your cities. So a safety audit is a methodology where you assess public spaces based on 9 parameters. Parameters per se, like what is the condition of street lighting, condition of walking, public transportation, security, what is the presence of people, what is the presence of women and children, what is the visibility like, what is the openness of a place, and ninth and the last parameter is how does a person feel over there. It's very subjective to person, but how does a person feel over there? On all these on all the first 8 parameters, you as a user have to rate the public space. Let's say if the light is very bad, so you rate it 0. If the lighting is good, you rate it 3, and so on and so forth. When all this data from different applications come together, what we get is a sense of a rating for a particular area, like within a boundary, we get a sense of what is the average rating. So the safety score is sort of an average rating based on all of these 9 parameters, clubbed with what voices of people are, and we get a sense of what is the safety around this particular area. This can help people make critical decisions or everyday life decisions. For example, if I want to buy a house in that locality, for somebody like me who was roaming around in Bangalore some years ago, finding a place to stay for a little while, Safetipin app helped me understand, okay, is this area safe for a woman to live, to go around in the night, etc. And
Right.
basic other details also, that if I'm maneuvering at late hours or after dark hours in certain parts of the city, is this fine, is this not okay? So that kind of details can help. This is one aspect. Another aspect is you can take this data to government for more intentional decision making and action towards city development.
And have you seen cities, municipal committees utilizing this data to make any improvements in those in areas where improvement is needed?
Yes. So across our spectrum of work and years of experience, we have seen that city governments respond very well to this data. They find it comprehensive. They think that it's very actionable. So, for example, our work in Delhi. So, Safetipin is present across 17 countries and more than 50 cities in India. But in a lot of these cities, we've engaged with government. There is Safetipin data that is available on public platforms, government dashboards, and in their decision-making processes, we have seen them utilize it, make amends, make changes, and yeah, we do see a difference in the approach towards gender-responsive planning and policies.
Great, that's amazing. So you did mention that it's present in 17 countries and 50 cities in India, which is an amazing scale for something which is extremely geography dependent, right? You need to have users in that particular city to be able to come up with the insights and data for that city. So the kind of scale that you already have with the coverage that you already have with Safetipin is amazing. Are there any standout success stories where this data has significantly improved safety, wherein cities and governments have leveraged this data to make any improvements? I did read up on a case study around Delhi, which was mentioned somewhere on the website. But if you'd love to sort of shed light on that or any other success story that you might have.
Actually, I can talk about Delhi. I'm currently based out from here, and since you already mentioned it, so there are a few case studies and case stories where data has been very helpful. I'll elaborate a little bit about the story in Delhi. So in 2016, we did our first round of data collection across the city, where we assessed, Delhi on based on all the eight tangible parameters that I spoke about earlier, in which one of the parameters was important and which was lighting across Delhi. So in 2016, some over 7,500 dark spots were discovered. This data was shared with city stakeholders, police department, DWCD. DWCD is Department of Women and Child Development, and they took interest in this and they tried to make action. In 2019, we again did a data collection across the city to get a sense of what is the stage and where have we reached. Departments and the government took action, and almost 60% of dark spots were reduced. So now the dark spots remain roughly around 2,500 or something like that. So that was one. And now recently in 2023, we again did a data collection across the city to get a sense where are we now. And what we see is almost 200, 300 dark spots in Delhi are remaining only. So this kind of a comprehensive, very specific geotag data helps government make very direct actions, and it can directly impact how women, how vulnerable groups in the city and going about on the streets perceive safety, perceive the presence, their own well-being in the city.
That's amazing. I think, yeah, again, with such granular data at a city level and within the city, if you're able to identify dark spots to this level of data, I think it's quite amazing how it can be scaled up to similar cities as well. I just wanted to also touch upon the advocacy part of it, because I understand as part of Safetipin as an organization, I'm sure everyone involved is trying to champion this cause and trying to come up with solutions towards women's safety. Also community societal attitudes towards women's safety, especially in the current scenarios when national tragedies highlight the deep-seated need for such around such issues and for solutions around these things. Does Safetipin also address any community and societal attitudes towards these things?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll give you a small example from one of our ongoing project called Cities for Youth. It's based out of in Rajasthan and primarily focused on young people and more specifically on young women. Mm-hmm. So in the state of Rajasthan, across 4 cities, almost, let's say, 150 young people, they used My Safetipin app. They collected data across the city. They mobilized more and more people to become more aware about what safety in cities means like. This data, when it came together, not only did it become a tool for collecting data, this became a tool for these young women coming from marginalized community to step out of their houses for the first time after dark. So we understood from many young women that we have not ever seen our city in dark, and this was because of Safetipin app that we stepped out and we had a sense of freedom, sense of mobility. After that, once this data was collected, we synthesized this, we analyzed this, and these young women themselves took this data back to their communities where they live in. And they put up big maps with, assessed data and, pointing out where there are red spots, where there are green spots. Mm-hmm. And they engage more and more community people, especially women, getting their perspective about it. So this data, only when clubbed with anecdotal evidence, people's lived experiences, this becomes more robust and it becomes more relatable and more actionable in some sense. So this is one such example of community practice. Similarly, taking this data to many communities in Delhi, working with people who are using these spaces every day, getting their opinion, getting them to do safety audits, getting them to collect that data, and have a more comprehensive voice over what kind of what kind of changes do they see in their community is one side of Safetipin's work also.
All right. That's amazing. So I think we talked about how the data is being used by governments to fix certain problems in certain specific locations, which is again data driven, and how it's helping at a community level. Um, and since you collaborate with governments and NGOs, do you see any major advancements in pushing towards any systemic change at a local, state, or national level? Um, have those conversations been? Have you seen any such conversations happen through the kind of data that you are coming up with?
Yes. So at Safetipin, we do believe that the world will be a better place with more systemic adjustments that can happen with the contribution of government action programs and policies, with a more active communities and empowered civil society organizations. So in terms of action, uh, am I audible?
Yes, I think we lost you for a few seconds there, but yeah, can hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm audible now?
Ye-
Yeah, great.
Yes, we can hear you.
So, I was saying, I don't know until where were we, but to be able to,
You were
yeah,
talking
to
about the
work
new
towards
system.
more systemic change, we have developed two frameworks. The first framework is called She Rises, building responsive, inclusive, equitable, and safe spaces for women, especially women and vulnerable groups. So this kind of framework works on. Hi, hi. Actually, I'm
Yes.
getting a call in the background. Yeah, so She Rises basically works on five pillars. Let's say transportation, mobility and transportation, creating better gender response in cities, programs and policies, infrastructure, and one more I'm forgetting right now. But you can go to our website and you can happily, dwell deeper into what this framework is. We have collected, specific indicators-based data across cities, wherein, what is the condition of your city? Where are we standing when it comes to responsiveness? Are there enough Mahila Police Thana? Are there enough one-stop crisis center? What is the condition of infrastructure? What is the condition of how can we build the capacity of government departments to respond to gender responsiveness and building gender responsive cities? So this kind of a systemic framework helps us navigate systems better, help us integrate the voices of the locals into the system change, sort of a thing. Second framework that is again a very systemic move is called the a framework for urban well-being for young people. Live with rights, to move without fear, to grow with pride, and to play without restrictions. So we are specifically targeting it for younger women, younger people in cities. They are the future of our country. We are the youngest nation in the world currently, and therefore building cities that addresses the aspirations and need of young people becomes very important. But it cannot happen just by making it safe. You have to make it more comprehensive. You have to make cities more and more accessible, inclusive, and where every person has a voice. So these kind of frameworks help us dwell deeper into the conversations, dwell as makes it more robust to towards problem solving and take a more deeper step into understanding what the issue is and also coming up with very specific solutions And at the end of the day, cities are complex structures. So we have to understand that it cannot be solved by just solving safety. You cannot make women, empowered just by making safe. It is one of the most important steps, but it is one of the steps. So you have to make a system where, women feel empowered, free enough to move around the cities without facing fear, without facing restrictions, and accessing equal opportunities as against any other person in the city. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Um, I, in I think it's safety pin in, from that perspective is probably bringing in another aspect to urban planning, which I believe has probably been lost to some extent. Like urban planning has always been, thought about from a perspective of development and prosperity and just the economic well-being of people, and adding another layer of safety to it through this data-driven approach and through the community approach that you mentioned is, I think it's some completely phenomenal and completely something which is much needed in today's time. Um, with regards to just a couple of more questions that I had. So, what's next for Safety Pin? Are there any upcoming projects or innovations that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, there are a lot of things in the pipeline. We have the extension, like we will continue doing our work for young women in Rajasthan in the coming 3 years. We are coming up with some new exciting technology that I'm not going to reveal now, but yeah, no secrets there. But we are developing technology that is more accessible and more specific. So, I mean, women is a large group of people, so we have to start focusing on more intersectionality and seeing needs and aspirations of people, different segments of women differently. So now we are working towards making technology more accessible, resources more accessible to people. And yeah, these are some of the new things. Working with state governments, working with city governments, taking this our She Rises framework to newer cities, taking our the framework for urban well-being for young people to newer cities and states. Those are some of the things that we are looking forward to become a bigger reality on ground, rather than limiting it to certain geographies. Yeah.
Right. Seems like there are a lot of things in the pipeline, yes. And do you think the current applications, while again it's an amazing way to collect data and make it actionable, but does that limit the geographical scale to the kind of things that you want to do currently? Do the
I'm sorry, what do you
applications
mean by geographical scale?
So in terms of covering other cities, like again, you need users in a particular city to gather data for that city, and it becomes that's what I mean by geographical constraints. By users in this particular geography and collecting data for that geography, does that limit safety pins mission or the kind of work that you want to do to expand to other cities as well in a seamless manner? So, for example, if you want to sort of set up in the 51st city in India, you again need a lot of users there. You need people who are, collecting and gathering data and putting in that data on the applications. Does that act as a limiting factor in any shape or form?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. It is a challenge to get people to use an application which directly does not benefit them in a very direct sense. So it is difficult to get crowdsourced data in every place. However, a little bit of mobilization helps, and we have been able to do that. But as I said earlier, that MySafetyPin is a crowdsourced application where it helps us get more voices, while a robust data collection through Safetipin Night happens at our backend. So this becomes an added advantage to a city, and we have strategies and mechanisms to roll it out in a particular city, get more and more people, interested and engaged, create a sense of, citizenship model where people are contributing and collaborating. Yes, experiences in different cities have been different, But the robust data collection that we do through other applications also, sort of backbones the entire data set. So it's not a big problem. Yeah, there
So
are always new.
right, I think that's how the citizens can contribute to Safety Pin's mission and the kind of work that you're doing. Um, what kind of inputs or help or support do you think the corporate side of things, um, or the startup ecosystem, or in general the corporate ecosystem can provide Safety Pin, or can Safety Pin benefit from? What kind of support can Safety Pin benefit from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we have recently, like we have been dwelling and thinking around and doing some projects also is like one of the biggest growing economy in India currently is the gig economy, and it's employing a lot of people, into the segment sector. So, and you a lot. All of these people are associated to private corporations and private companies.
Right.
So ultimately, what is happening is that you're seeing more and more men participate in that kind of a job opportunity also, because there's a limitation that the city offers for women to be delivery partners, to be cab drivers, to be auto drivers, like that. So if there are corporations and organizations that work in tandem with our data and create, a safe spaces within the city where, women can be employed, or we can make certain parts of the cities, we can take this data to the government that, ultimately it's sort of strengthening the economic strength of our country and creating more and more job opportunities. So why women are left behind in that particular segment also. So we can see that kind of a cooperation and collaboration between private organizations and our data and the work that we are doing. This is one example. There are other examples also, I mean, similarly, where collaboration is possible.
Great. One last question at my end, which is basically something which is more personal to you. What has been the most rewarding part for you personally as part of your journey with Safety Pin?
My rewarding part for me or my learnings?
Your learnings, or whatever you felt was sort of, you know, something which just felt rewarding in any shape or form. Like could be uh, whatever you got out of your experience with Safety Pin.
Yeah, okay. So a little bit about me. I'm an architect and urban designer by training. So that means I'm not a social scientist who has actually gone on the ground and worked with a lot of people. But after joining Safetipin, that opportunity, I mean, I got that opportunity to engage with communities, to engage with people on the ground. And it just, that process has made me way more humble and way more, grounded as against where I started from. I can, and in a sense, empowered too, with a tool like Safetipin. And when we take it to young women and they talk about their aspirations of becoming teachers and police and, IT engineers, but they're, where they come from, it's slightly just so limited. And whenever they are using this app, they feel a sense of empowerment that they are contributing to the well-being of their society. One of the stories, as I earlier told you, that a lot of young women come and tell us that they've not seen cities after dark. They are always at home. Whenever there is sundown, they're always supposed to be home. And one of the prerequisites of doing a safety audit is that you have to go out in the city after dark in certain areas, in certain pockets. And they formed groups of 2 and 3 and 4 and went in different paths. So, safety audits aside, it became a very empowering tool for them to identify themselves as a citizen in the city. And hearing these things from them, it just validates that we are doing something interesting. How much contributing to the change in the world? I'm sure it's a long journey and a lot of people are fighting for it. But even hearing this from one girl that she feels empowered and now she wants to do something new and is wants to go to a long distance to take a tuition class because she feels comfortable and her family feels comfortable about it. I think it's a win from where we are standing. Yeah.
It definitely is. every single person's story matters, and every small change also becomes so incremental at some stage that it's just uh,
Yeah.
beyond anyone's imagination. So that's amazing, and we are really excited about whatever safety pin comes up with next, and would love to chat with you again at some point when you mentioned that safety pin is coming up with some new, more accessible um, uh, features as well, and then yeah, would love to connect with you again at some point in time. Great, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
coming, Neeruja, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Fantastic to collaborate with you. Looking forward for more opportunities. And yeah, have a good evening.
Yeah. The pleasure was ours. Thank you.